Welcome to this online interview by Project Cargo Weekly. Our special guest of honor today is Mr. Erik Jensby. He's the head of membership and business development at BIMCO in Copenhagen. First and foremost, Erik, very welcome to this interview.
Thank you very much.
Erik, for our viewers that are not, let's say, familiar with BIMCO, and before you give an introduction to yourself, what is BIMCO in fact?
BIMCO is the largest shipping organization for owners, brokers, and agents worldwide. We are 1,900 plus members in 135 countries. And our backbone is our documentary work, where we do contracts and clauses for the shipping industry.
Okay. When was BIMCO established?
We were established back in 1905, and we still have some of our founding members as our members, actually. So they've been hanging around for a few years.
Okay, well then, speaking about networks, you certainly belong, let's say, to the senior networks.
Very much so, very much so.
Right, then I will turn to another question, which I normally always start my interviews with. What got you into shipping in the first place, and what is your distinguished career leading up to your current position, please?
Well, I came into shipping because I was looking for a interesting job with international perspectives, basically. And I came into a liner agent here in Copenhagen for starters, and doing also overseas freight forwarding. So that was the beginning of it, and moved on to actually trading in timber for an old established Danish company as well, called the EAC, which started out also a very old company, but at that time trading in timber and mainly selling from West Africa to the Middle East. Mm-hmm. So I had a big interest in the Middle East from that time on, and then I've been in container leasing, been managing director for a company called GECO. Okay. And then I moved into back into how can I say, normal transportation, and doing for ST Shipping DK in Denmark. I was the director for the Køge and Copenhagen office, where I was heading an office with that had a few coasters on charter. Mm-hmm. We were doing stevedoring, we were doing warehouses, we were doing agency, so a bit of everything. And actually also established an overseas freight forwarding department at that time, which was back in 2007, and it was quite tough actually at that time, actually just getting freights, because the freight rates at that time were at the very high end of the market. And then I moved into Maersk Broker after that, in their agency department, and did head of projects, where we started out being involved in the renewables business, doing marine logistics, about installing offshore wind farms. So we're involved in installing 3 large wind farms in the North Sea, and from that on I moved on here to BIMCO as head of business development, and then I also became head of the membership. So that's the whole string since 1990 of a good 30 years of shipping experience.
Well, it's like they say, isn't it? You can check out, but you can never leave.
That is certainly the case.
I must say, a very impressive career you've had, Erik, and you certainly have the right background. You tried a lot of different things. BIMCO as such, I mean, from my perspective here, I understand that it was mainly ship owners who joined BIMCO in the beginning, I suppose. But what can you tell me more about the advantages of being in BIMCO for, let's say, a normal freight forwarder or project freight forwarder sitting in Singapore? Why should he be in BIMCO? What can you do for him? Just a quick question like that.
Yeah, we do have a fair number of, especially on the freight forwarding business, because people are there tending to do their own GenCon or their own bill of ladings, and in these cases they actually use our documents. So we have an editor where you can make sure you actually use an original BIMCO document where nothing has been tampered with. prime thing is that you take out a liable from a not liable, or you insert that. So, which you never know if you check off a copy of the web. So you can actually use SmartCon as our editor to do original contracts. I'll make sure you have that. That's a starter,
right?
And you can do that without being a member. But for members, we also have a department which we call support and advice, where we assist our members when they have disputes. So if you have a dispute, it can be on late time of demurrage, it can be on when should you actually tender notice of readiness, and all these issues that do occur, whether it's a bill of lading or Gen Con or whatever type of heavy con, what type of contract you're using.
Yes.
We will be able to do a commercial assistance if you have a dispute with either you're an owner or your charter or your shipper, and normally we'll be able to come back and within 24 hours with some sort of reply to this, and that I think is the main thing. And then we also have an department where you do KYC, where we can check our counterparts. So if you're having somebody who you don't know you're going to do business with, you can always call in and say, do you know XY shipping from Turkey or from Ecuador or something like that, and have you had any bad reports on them? And we also report when there is fraudulent behavior in various places. So we keep up to date on our members, and in general we keep all our members up to date on what's happening on the regulatory side. We're seeing now the IMO and the EU coming in with a lot of new regulation, which will have a big influence on the shipping industry going forward, relating to CII, Carbon Intensity Index, and EU ETS, where vessels going in and out of EU is going to be part of the trading scheme with carbon credits. And that was actually agreed last week by the Parliament, and looks like the European Committee is going to look at it next week. So stuff like that, where we're updating on this and doing clauses which may need to be inserted if people also in this industry may have vessels on term charter that goes across the 1st of January, where these things are looking to be implemented. Then you need some sort of clauses to actually manage that, and who's going to pay and who's going to do what when you have these kind of contracts. So a lot on that side of things. The more practical side, we also have all these clauses, and you can get an explanatory notes. Why do you have to insert a sanctions clause in your bill of ladings or your charter parties? Because right now, with the story in Ukraine, there is a whole lot of companies that are being sanctioned, and you don't want to be caught dealing with a sanctioned counterpart.
No, definitely not. No, it seems to me that you seem to be the network really to go to, especially in a volatile world as we are in right now. And it seems all our politicians can only add to the rules. They never remove any.
Oh, no, that's for sure. There's no doubt that there is absolutely no doubt that the whole regulatory world around us is just going to be more and more strict and enforced. So there are going to be more and more administration related to this. There's no doubt about it.
And what would be a rough membership fee? Let's say I have a Bo Drusen forwarding company, as I mentioned, in Singapore with 10 employees, and we feel that we need to be part of an organization that has these, let's say, helpful tools also legally, because it seems to me that being a member in your network could save me the cost of a maritime lawyer.
And the clock starts ticking as soon as you pick up the phone. No, basically we're looking at around €1,600 for a smaller freight forwarding company per annum. And depending on how many employees, but otherwise it'll be 1,800 if you're 10 employees in that region. That's the annual fee, and that's based on that. So it's in compared to some of the if we can save people for a few hours of the marriage. Then you actually been paying for the membership fee. That's like my normal go-to thing to say, actually, especially these days when rates are extremely high. Then you don't want too much of that.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And BIMCO is, let's say, I always ask in my interviews, who owns you or who are the owners? BIMCO is an organization owned by the members
Yes.
combined, or is there a board, or how do
Yeah, there
you?
is a board. There is a board and an executive committee. We have a daily CEO here who is appointed by the board, of course.
Cool.
The board is actually appointed, or it's coming from our biggest member countries.
Okay.
Based on that, so the 20 biggest member countries have a seat on the board. So it's Greece, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, China, Denmark, Germany, these countries.
Yeah.
And then they assign a CEO who's here on a normal contract. And then every 2 years, we have a new president. Right now, we have Sabrina Chow from Hong Kong, from
Oh, yeah.
Wakwong Shipping Company. And
Oh,
before
yes.
that, it was Shadan Kaptanoglu from Turkey. And the next one is going to be Nico Schüss, is coming from Leis Shipping in Hamburg.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we have like a 2-year past designating president, a
Yes.
2 years president, 2 years past president. So they have a 6-year period where they run.
Okay.
But we are owned by, we're a not-for-profit organization. So we are owned by our members in that sense.
Okay.
And not that we, even though we were to make a profit, we wouldn't distribute them back to our members, but the membership and the commercial interest that we have is in a separate company, but it all goes to give back to the members as such.
No, it's. I can only say that I never heard any bad words about BIMCO around the world. So you seem to be doing a good job, and I do see your logo in the signature of most of the, let's say, well-reputed both forwarders, ship owners, liner agencies, and whatnot. And
exactly,
especially with this regulatory stuff coming in. I mean, it was supposed to be an easier world, but it seems to me that people are protecting themselves up the wazoo right these days, no matter what they say.
Yeah, that is true.
So, yeah. And would you say that out of your, what kind of percentage do you have of your, if you have 100% of your members, how much percentage would be forwarders, ship owners, chartering?
I think that we have about 40% are owners.
Okay.
So just over 800,
okay.
And then we have some 550 who are brokers, which is quite a substantial number.
Oh yeah, a lot of brokers.
And that's where most of the freight forwarders actually come in. The freight forwarders that we do have within the membership is primarily in the project department. It's not the, how can I say, the average LCL, FCL freight forwarder doing Far East to Europe or something like that. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the ones who are out there, who are doing project cargoes, where you different sorts of liabilities, and actually also take the carrier responsibility sometimes with your own bill of lading and your own charter party. So that's where we see the benefit also for the members.
Absolutely. No, I know as a former project forwarder myself that you can end up between two chairs, between the ship owner and the shipper, and you have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Exactly.
So that's where you come in. This is really interesting. And you said you're headquartered in Copenhagen. Do you have any, shall we say, branch offices anywhere in the world?
We do indeed. We have in Athens, we have in London, we have in Singapore, we have in Shanghai, and 2 weeks ago we opened in Houston. And actually employed a very knowledgeable person from the Thomas Damsgaard from the heavy industry, from Scantrans, Clipper. He's been in all these places before, so he is well versed in the project department.
That name certainly rings a bell, and I will be in Houston for Break Bulk in Houston in September, so definitely will go and pay him a visit.
You should. We will actually have our official inauguration of the office at break bulk in Houston.
Oh, can you please ensure an invitation?
Yeah, definitely.
Now I do all this marketing for you.
Yeah, exactly. But no problem at all.
That's kind, Eric. No, but listen, I think we have about in Project Cargo Weekly about 39,000 receivers every week, and of course many of them are ship owners, but most are forwarders.
Yeah.
Who read, and I think a lot of them would be interested in what you have to offer. And it seems to me that the membership fee is quite reasonable for what you get in the field of know-how and skills, and especially in these difficult times when, well, let's say it bluntly, ship owners are not really flexible. They have no need to be.
They're in a good spot at the moment. Put it that way.
I haven't seen it this good for years, I must admit. So.
No. I have just been at the Posidonia, which is an absolutely massive fair and congress in Athens, and I've never seen anything like it. They're in a good spot.
Oh yeah,
and actually across the various segments, you look at containers, you look at MPPs, you look at the tanker, and also the bulkers, and they're all in a good spot.
Let's put it this way: it's the Bollinger champagne that James Bond likes to drink. It's not the cheap one.
It was not the Cava or Prosecco or anything like that. It was the proper champagne this time.
Yeah, exactly. Shaken, not stirred. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's very good, Eric. I want to say this has been very interesting, and I think a lot of our viewers will definitely be interested to see this
but
interview.
they can just reach out, and we'll be happy to let them know what we can offer, and we're always ready for a call or an email exchange or Teams or Zoom. So
excellent,
they can
Eric.
just reach out. So that's fine.
Then I want to say really formally many thanks to you on this beautiful Friday, which I guess it also is in Copenhagen.
Indeed it is.
So to all our listeners, viewers and readers from around the world, this was yet another great interview by Project Cargo Weekly. And our special guest of honor today has been Mr. Erik Jensby. He's the head of membership and development for BIMCO in Copenhagen. And we thank you. And please stay tuned for more interviews in the near future. Thank you very much.
At a time when the world stopped, ships kept moving. People still shopped, ships kept on proving. The volume of trade that's moved by sea, 90% of trade, actually. Crops that are weighed, cars that are sprayed, and it's easy to see the impact this makes. Fruit and vegetables, toys and collectibles, wheats and grains, the blood in the veins. Like to land a farmer is, ships are to the sea. And if the world is the heart, ships are the arteries, which stock the pharmacies, move essential commodities. So there's a lot at stake across these seas. Without these routes, half the world would starve, while the other half would freeze. Without these bright-colored containers, the four walls in our house that contain us would be empty. The books we read, the animal feed, the oil we need, the global lives that we lead. No oil, no cars, no essential spare parts. The sea's version of stars, those flickering lights on the horizon. By moon and by sun, but the journey is never done. As a supertanker proves, the distance it moves is equivalent to 3 times around this earth a year. And we are served by over 61,000 ships. The things we buy, the things that shops sell, the 1.7 million seafarers, it's more than just engines that propel this industry. And it's easy to see that a lot is owed to the people that load. 6,000 ports worldwide, but it's not all plain sailing. It's rough seas and piracy warnings and the change that this inevitably causes. The sea covers 70% of our planet, so you can see why we need to plan it. A global community of knowledge and passion. From salt and sugar to the latest fashion, our ships keep moving products we love using. Ships make the world go. They help trade flow and let business grow.